It's always too dangerous to go into really hard areas. It just depends how much risk you want to take. I mean, it has to be your decision. And if you're going in areas where you're potentially in a war zone, you're risking your life and your sanity. So the risk factor is usually too high for most people, and you should be very, very careful. And you usually go in at least two people, not just one person on their own. I know you've mentioned that in general you let people come to you looking for help. Have you ever approached the government or the UNHCR for large scale swale or waddy catchment ideas? Yes, I've worked for governments, I've worked for the UNHCR, I've worked for the UNEP, the Environment Programme, I've worked for the UNDP, and I've worked for UN Habitat Development Programme and the Housing Programme. Most work we've done for the UN has been with the UNHCR, the High Commission for Refugees. Governments have employed us on water harvesting systems. Royalty have employed us on water harvesting systems. Do they get done? Not usually, because middlemen get in the way who have got some kind of deal going where they want to change a system or use something else. Hopefully, eventually, they do go in. Sometimes you might be lucky. These are the other dangers of going in to do this broad work. You can put yourself at risk, you can do enormous amounts of hard work and get totally disillusioned and things don't happen. But the overall global consciousness is rising. And on the internet, which is the main communication media today, it's there all the time. In countries like Jordan, not everybody suddenly does this. No. This is my 18th year in Jordan. That's a lot of time. And I've been laying down more and more. So it's gradually sort of taken up here and there. It's not going to sweep across the world and suddenly become popular. But we're chewing it away little by little. Sometimes you get a better win. Sometimes you hit a particular point. Or it's usually a particular local person. When you get the local champion, it takes off. That's the biggest initiator. The person in their own language and culture. Even in a place like America, you're going to get more response from a southerner in the south and a northerner in the north and a midwestern in the midwest and someone on the west coast within their west coast culture. It's quite specific, and then it really starts to happen. So large systems, difficult to initiate, done a lot of talking, done a lot of consultancy, done a lot of design, actually got a proposal to do whole countries, like actually got Qatar once. Talked to the Minister of Agriculture and the Minister of Environment. All keen, didn't go in. Might go in now, they've got problems in Qatar. You know, talked to the Ministry of Agriculture in Yemen. Came up with a plan for the whole of Yemen, then conflict happened, right? And we haven't been able to get back to it. So we've been invited in all kinds of places, but it's not about success. It's typical, it's like business. It's not about how successful you are. It's how you can get back up off the floor when you get knocked down, when it doesn't work, when it's hard going. Can you get back up? That's what makes an aid worker. Someone who just keeps plugging away till we get it done. That's the great thing about Tony Ronaldo's work and the farmer managed natural regen that he put in Mali. 20 years of work. And Tony came up with a system where a $2 penknife reforests the desert by selecting the regrowth after goats and sheep who continuously coppers stumps. So, award-winning work, working for World Vision, and deservedly so. He's nominated for the Right Livelihood Award, I believe. So, I suppose there are places of less risk and great need that would be easier places to start. At this point, I'm looking for entry points and that would lead most quickly to implementation of systems large enough to help people on a scale that drought and starvation are already helping. Yeah, we all are. I am. Tony has been. Many other people in the aid, permaculture aid and sustainable aid. I mean, if there was such a thing as sustainable aid, it would all be over. It would be a finished thing. I mean, a lot of in-country aid workers find sustainable aid a bit frightening because, it means unemployment. But you can find good organisations. They're usually small ones, but not always. Some big ones too. it's difficult to find the position, and it doesn't sound like you have experience. You need to gain experience. You really can't rush experience. It gives you credibility and some authority. And even when you have credibility, some authority, and even successes, people don't necessarily jump in and take it up. I wish they would. Maybe things have got to get a little bit harder, and the internet's got to promote things a little bit more so we all know what's happening. You already mentioned that credibility and trust of people comes only with experience on the ground. And lacking that, is it sufficient to put the information and facts in front of as many people as possible and see if you can inspire them to take action? Do you think that the only effective approach is to start small, at the small scale you mentioned and expand from there? What we are doing with these systems, with film, with all the resources that we return into doing a better, high quality job with things like this online PDC, is to get this in front of people in a way that they've got to believe it. And that's why people track us down. That's why people are coming to meet me here in Jordan, because they've seen some of our work put on high definition film. It's pretty hard to fudge it. It's pretty real. You can see it. It's there. They want to know how to do it. So that has worked. Now, you're asking if the only effective way is to start small, at small scale, and expand. It's the guaranteed way. It's infallible, because you'll get a small area right and scale it up. On this project, the sequel here, it's only 3,000 square meters. It's not quite an acre, it's 3/4 of an acre. And of course, it's been much easier for us to fund it. You know, we haven't got a lot of funds, but we've been able to get a small system up, and you can see what would happen if you can expand it. Our first project here was 10 acres. Well, it was probably only 1/5 of it that we got really good. And then it didn't expand for political reasons and NGO reasons and land ownership reasons and things like this. So what we decided to do here was we raised the funds to buy this little tiny piece of land. It's pretty awful. It's much worse than the first project landscape. It's steeper, it's facing west, it's got terrible soil, it's got lots of rock. But we've got a really great little demonstration site up now that can easily be expanded. So you can always start small and expand. So the business statement for that is nail it, then scale it. And that's the way to do it. That's guaranteed to work. Now, if you get someone who believes you straight away and you think you can put it in and scale it right out, and you can design it, you can implement it, and you can establish it, well, great. I reckon we can, but they've got to use the people who know how to do that on a scale. And it's harder to do it on a scale than it is in a small area where you have a reference point going back to the smaller areas and expanding from a small area out, definitely. But let's hope we can just do large scale straight up. We have the teams worldwide. We have the teams who can do it.